Hey guys, SK here, back with another Clash Royale video, and today is going to be a highly anticipated video. As you can see, we are spectating Betfas pushing live top ladder with 3.0 XBOW Cycle. So, in today's video, I'll be showcasing Betfas' top ladder gameplay. He is currently at 7,950 trophies, might be going for 8k, maybe even higher, and yeah, so I'll be commentating over all of his games, as I'm doing right now. We'll be giving an insight into what I believe is his thought process and decision making while playing the games. I'll also be giving my own insight into possibly the matchups, what Betfas' game plans will be, how he plans to carry them out, and overall just my thoughts as well. So I do like to upload commentary videos with my own gameplay, but Betfas' gameplay is just on an absolutely different level. He is arguably the best XBOW player in the entire world right now, actually. Ever since 7-4 left, that has been the conversation, and so hopefully his gameplay combined with my commentary should make for a nice little mix here. And we do see an XBOW come down with prediction log. Nate goes for minor to tank, and unfortunately Betfas doesn't get any damage. So we're actually up against Coterie, who is also Nate, also known as Nate. He is one of my pretty close friends actually, and he does have a YouTube channel of his own. He plays this self-created minor control deck with Rocket, and he's very talented at the deck and pushes very high on ladder with it. So definitely would recommend, if you guys have time, want to see some really good top ladder minor control gameplay, definitely check out Nate's channel. We do see an XBOW by Betfas here, and as you can see, he has actually outcycled Nate's Rocket by 1, as Nate is forced to go with a defensive minor. Never really a great sign against XBOW. And Betfas gets a tiny connection. So in this matchup, it's going to be very fast cycle minor control with Rocket. Going to be pretty tricky matchup, I'd say. Betfas' goal is definitely going to be to try and outcycle the Rocket and apply pressure with Xbows, and then possibly catch Nate off guard when Nate tries to defend without using Rocket, because they will probably do that at least once in the game. So he'll probably try and catch Nate when he tries to defend an XBOW without Rocket, and try and just fully commit to that XBOW, get a connection, and win that way. As you can see, Nate does also have Royal Delivery. Perfect catch on the minor by Betfas. Goes with archers up high to avoid the E-Spirit chaining onto skeletons in tower, notice that. And prediction log comes down again. So Betfas is actually doing these prediction logs, which is really good, because if he clips the skeletons, that's 6 extra XBOW hits on tower, I believe, because XBOW takes 2 hits to kill each skeleton. And catches the minor again. Betfas is just on fire with these minor catches right now. Goes for an XBOW in the right, actually switching lanes because he does have the knight to support. We might, okay, I was going to say we might see a non-Rocket defense here. We do see a Rocket, but again, Betfas is just trying to apply a lot of pressure. You have to play so offensively in this matchup, and then he's going to try and catch Nate without a Rocket. So right here, he's outcycled the Rocket definitely by at least 2. Nate goes for a minor, and then Rocket comes down, but Xbow's on tower, and as you can see, Betfas is up a little bit of elixir, so I definitely think he's going to go right back for another XBOW. Nate is 1 card away. Sorry, Nate is 3 cards away from Rocket. Betfas is already back, so Nate's going to have to defend. Probably going to see a delivery here to take out the archers, as we do. Maybe an Inferno tower, and we do. So Betfas, again, this is going to be his game plan. Gets a log down, hits the E-Spirit. Want to see some archers here, and we do. And look at those archers spaced so far away. And archers take out the Inferno tower, and Nate actually cannot really Rocket this, because this XBOW is so low on HP. We do see a log, and Betfas is in the damage lead, and even though this XBOW is basically dead, that was a great offense by Betfas, and notice how he fireballed the Dark Prince. So we didn't cycle to another XBOW. He did that now, but he took fireball value on the Dark Prince to force out the defensive minor, which means Nate can't even get minor damage on tower, and also those fireballs on tower do get Betfas direct spell damage, which is very important. So we do see a Tesla come down, and Nate might start throwing some minor plus Rocket, especially after that fireball. Yeah, Nate does Rocket here. And so Betfas is definitely going to XBOW here. Goes for a log, and then Skeleton's definitely going to see an XBOW because Nate just uses Rocket. And Betfas will almost definitely get a fireball down with this XBOW as well. Unless Nate just Rockets straight away. But still Betfas gets a connection. And again, Tesla comes down. Nate goes for a low Inferno, which is a nice play. But Betfas is definitely going to go back to another XBOW here. And probably force out yet another Rocket. So again, very offensive match. Now, I think we'll see a fireball. Yes, we do. And Betfas is going to make sure he doesn't take any minor damage at all, even use his log to make sure he doesn't take an E-Spirit. And then I think Betfas, if he just catches the next minor... Okay, he's actually going to XBOW because there's still 15 seconds left. It's not the very end of the match. And I think we'll see a fireball plus log come in here. And even though Betfas is very close in damage with Nate, as you can see, he gets an XBOW connection. And with all that pressure, with the XBOW, he just didn't let Nate Rocket cycle pretty much ever, so kept him on his toes with a wonderful set of offensive XBOWs. and was able to walk away with the win there against a very talented minor control player in sort of a difficult matchup, and that's going to put him at 7,961 trophies, top 38 in the world, so very high, already top 50 on ladder. Let's see what else Betfas can do today. Alright, so getting into the next match here against Reincarnated from Indian Army. We are unfortunately a little bit late to this match, but it is going to be up against Minor Poison, most likely, or Minor Fireball Control, with the Gold Knight in there, and Wallbreakers too. So, Betfas goes for an Xbow, and also, Betfas might lose some games in between here, but I'm basically going to be trying to do a compilation of all his wins as much as possible so that I can get as many games for you guys in this video today, and hopefully will chronicle his way up to 8,000 trophies and maybe even higher. We do get a nice connection there because the opponent's Golden Knight was already cycled, so Betfas just taking advantage of that. Although unfortunately Wallbreakers are so good, and yeah, so we do see a Tesla coming out because Betfas doesn't have Ice Spirit, I believe, for the bats, so he can't use archers on the miner because otherwise the bats would wreak havoc on his tower. But he is in a nice damage lead here, but this should be a very tricky matchup because of the Golden Knight. So normally Minor Wallbreakers is already a hard matchup. But with the Gold Knight in there giving them a 3-card cycle, it should be even worse. Very nice minor catch there, and Ice Spirit to take out the bats. And actually, as we saw in the last match against Nate, Betfas is very good at catching minors. I don't even know how, but he catches them so often. That's going to be so important in all these minor control matchups, just because that's their main source of damage. We do see a stacked Tesla up. Betfas was probably trying to go for a center Tesla, but obviously couldn't go for one in the standard placement because there was already one there from before. So his play of choice was to play it up at the top, which is interesting. We do see archers come out against Gold Knight, and Dash will unfortunately just take them out. Gold Knight is such a hard card to deal with for Xbow in the meta because Gold Knight just hard counters archers, takes out skeletons, dashes, and has so much HP, it's ridiculous. But we do see a Knight predicting the miner here. And then a miner comes in. Archer's going to take out the bats. So notice how Betfas is making sure he's taking out the bats, either with Ice Spirit or archers. Now we see an Xbow and Tesla at the bridge, but unfortunately I don't think this is going to actually get much happening. Maybe we'll see a Fireball here as well. No, we don't. Just a nice Ice Spirit overall. And archers too, actually. But unfortunately archers will just walk up into the bomb tower and die. And Betfas does, again, catch the miner. Just so impressive. He is... This is definitely a hard matchup, but because of how often Betfas is catching the miner, he is doing such a great job at keeping damage even. And notice how he logged the tower and Tesla'd the Spear Goblins. That's very interesting to me. He's just choosing to log cycle. And yeah, defensive Xbow comes down because bomb tower there, you can't really do much against it unless you defensive Xbow or you pre-Tesla at the bridge. We do see some archers coming out, which should defend these Wallbreakers. And Spear Goblins come in on the right, so Tesla is just coming there. We might see a Fireball or an Ice Spirit there. Actually, we see archers in the log helped out enough, so that was actually a very nice defense. We should definitely see an Xbow now because the opponent committed... Yeah, he's at 3 elixir, he's very low. So Xbow coming out for sure to take advantage of the fact that his opponent's so low on elixir. Plus, he doesn't even have a Fireball in hand, actually, so he is struggling to defend this. Let's see if Betfas can catch this miner, and he does. And this is actually going to be an Xbow connection here because archers take out the Spear Goblins, and that is actually huge. Fireball comes down too, and oh my god, looks like Betfas was able to win against this really hard matchup. Just with the most important thing I'd say is that he caught all the miners, but also just his general control and decisions were very smart overall. And that's going to put him at 7,971 trophies, doing even better on ladder. Alright, so we're into the next match of the video against Stalker, and he's playing Mortar, it looks like, just starts out with a defensive Mortar. And this is why Mortar can be quite a hard matchup, because they can just spam defensive Mortars and get minor chip on your tower, and they will outdamage you. We do see bats as well, so definitely should be a Mortar minor deck. And I find it very interesting how Betfas decided to go for a pre-Tesla or center Tesla in the middle against the defensive Mortar. Because in Mortar matchups, I feel like that middle Tesla just doesn't really get much value, honestly. So it's interesting that he chose to do it, but obviously he's a lot better of a player than me. And look at that Knight placement, by the way. Rewind if you need to. He played his Knight in a perfect position such that he would catch out the Dark Goblin as across the bridge. We should see a Fireball come in here. Betfas says well played. Opponent is very low on elixir actually, so we'll see an Ice Spirit to block, and this should be a connection if Betfas just prepares. Okay, miner comes in, and Betfas actually catches the miner with those skeletons, and opponent goes for a log as well, so really nice offense. Betfas is probably going to go for another Expo because he's up elixir, and a general rule against any Mortar deck is that single elixir is a huge thing. Yep, we do see Xbow come in right away. Opponent goes guards, we should see a log. Straight away, this should actually be a connection. Yep, Dark Goblin comes in. Definitely the wrong play. He should have let the Xbow lock on a tower, then gone Dark Goblin afterwards, in my opinion. I guess he just panicked. But archers come in too. Notice how he's holding on to this connection. Very important in any difficult matchup. When you get a connection, you hold on to it as much as you can. And that's going to put Betfas in the lead, and that should actually just be GG, actually, because he can just kind of defensive Xbow and spell cycle here. So Mortar comes in, Betfas, notice how he's not going Tesla at the bridge, because the opponents, he goes for it now, but normally people like to go with predictions in front of their Mortar, like bats or something like that. Do see an Xbow come in as well, because the opponent was just very aggressive, and we do see a log, and archers, so Betfas is going to go Ice Spirit too, and opponent actually has to defensive Mortar here. If he fireballs, it wouldn't be enough, and Xbow's doing work, a knight comes in, and we might actually see another offensive Xbow here to come in and pressure. Or actually just Xbow just locks on, and that's actually going to be it. So, wow, surprising that Betfas just basically had this game in the palm of his hand the entire time, but just played so well in single elixir, abused the fact that the opponent, that Mortar decks are usually a bit worse in single, and Xbow can punish them. And Betfas just tracked cycle perfectly, did the perfect counters with logs and fireballs on offense. Notice how he wasn't afraid to log the Rascals or guards, and walked away with a wonderful win against minor Mortar cycle there with some bait aspects. That's going to be 7,990 trophies, top 37 in the world, and 1 win away from 8K. Alright, so into the next match against Axel92. This is the match for 8K if Betfas can win. He will be at 8,000 trophies, and Axel92 is a very well-known Goblin Troll player. Goblin Troll Wallbreakers, I believe, so he should also have an Inferno tower in here, guards, Valkyrie, either Skarmy or guards, I guess. Could be one of the two. Do see Wallbreakers come in. Betfas does log them, but unfortunately one connects. And low Inferno from Axel. I guess he didn't want to go for a high one because the knight would have just DPS'd it down. But we do see archers come in. Notice how Betfas separated his archers from the Xbow so that the Fire Spirit didn't splash onto the Xbow, because it has a very high splash radius, and that's just going to be a nice connection. Like, a really nice connection. 1,000 damage lead for Betfas already, and I guess he just finds ways to get connections, even against a lot of decks like minor Wallbreakers or Mortar, where they should have seemingly impenetrable defense, but Betfas finds a way. So, very interesting here. Nice early connection. Actually going aggressive with an Xbow again, and even goes knight, so he's actually just going to ignore the entire left side and go for a late log on the drill. And this is actually going to be a connection on tower. Wallbreaker should come in for Axel here. No, Bomber comes in instead. Archers take it out, and Wallbreaker should come in now, I think. Oh no, actually he just used Wallbreaker, so wow, that is actually Ice Spirit Skeletons come in. Xbow is basically taken out, but that is actually kind of GG already, and it's unbelievable to me how Betfas just wins all these games in single. Like, for the last 2 games we saw, he just won in single straight away. Just crazy, honestly. But Tesla comes in to take out the Wallbreakers, knight for the drill, and this should be a very clean win now. So it looks like Betfas is really a fan of punishing in single elixir very aggressively, and it works out very well. Wow, Axel actually just gives up here, so that's actually going to be GG. He gives the good luck. I guess he's mad. Understandable. I mean, if you lost in the first 2 minutes, I would be pretty upset too. But yeah, it looks very interesting. Betfas just played very aggressively, ignored the drill Wallbreakers, and only went logs. That was a straight up +4 trade that allowed Betfas to go all in with his Xbow, and because of that decision making, he was able to go in. So that's something you see top Xbow players do a lot. They sack a certain amount of damage just to get the perfect Xbow opportunity to come in, and it looks like Betfas knows exactly when to do that. And overall, just very impressive. Like, I don't know what else to say. He literally got 8K off this match as well, and he did it by winning in the first 2 minutes, so just unbelievable, but against a very well-known and good drill player as well, so just crazy by Betfas. But let's just take a look at his profile here after this game, and that should put him at 8K trophies. Yeah, 8,006 trophies, top 32 in the world. He did it. He hit 8K. I don't think he's done playing, though. I think he's still going to keep going, but that is honestly amazing. Very impressive by him. And yeah, really great game so far. Hope you guys are enjoying the video. Let's keep it moving and see if he's going to keep playing or not. Alright, so Betfas has decided to keep playing, and we are into the 5th match of the video against CHN Gary. And it's going to be an Xbow mirror match, and Gary's actually a pretty well-known Xbow player at this point. He's kind of infamous in the community on Twitter, but he is a pretty talented player, honestly. He's usually pretty high on ladder, and he is playing Queen Bow, as you can see here. So Betfas gets a connection, because Gary does not want the queen to just die, I guess, but Betfas can also just go skeleton tier and fully counter it. Yep. So pretty nice connection there, and puts Betfas in the lead. So this is going to be a very interesting match to show you guys how Betfas likes to play the Xbow 3.0 versus Xbow Archer Queen mirror match. I believe Gary plays this with Fireball. If they were playing it with Rocket, it would be their hard counter. But with Fireball, it should be an interesting matchup. Notice how he's going Archer's same lane, actually, because Gary doesn't really want to Fireball that. And defensive Xbow out of Gary, just going to see a Fireball onto it by Betfas, and then actually doesn't catch that E-Spirit. I guess he didn't have Ice-Spirit and Cycle. Not sure why else he wouldn't have caught it. And Betfas is leaking now. We do see an Xbow come in right away, and Gary goes for a prediction Archer Queen, actually, and then low skeletons. But again, that Xbow does get damaged because Queen's ability makes her invisible for a bit, and we should see... Yep, another set of skeletons take out the queen, and no damage. Archer just to make sure. Actually, queen gets one hit, but defensive Xbow again. Betfas just going to Fireball, make sure the E-Spirit doesn't connect, and then let's see if he logs the tower or... Okay, knight in the back, pretty standard play after they go for defensive Xbow. We do see a queen at the bridge by Gary, so Betfas looks like he's not going to Fireball it, not going to cycle back to a Fireball. Actually just going to go with all his cycle cards with the... skeletons, spirit, and archers, and defends the queen. So prediction Tesla up high against the Xbow, but Gary's going for these defensive Xbows, and you'll notice that even though he is not taking any Xbow damage, he is taking a bunch of Fireball damage, and Betfas does just log that Xbow, so he's definitely looking to build an Xbow initiative here. We go for one in the right, which is really nice actually, because Gary is probably expecting one on the left. As you can see, his knight was probably ready to go on the left. Betfas is defending this with everything he can. You're going to see a very nice Fireball come in there against that queen and knight, and low knight comes out for Gary, so we should definitely see an Xbow on the left right now, because Gary's main tank for the Xbow in the knight was baited out. Yes, there is the Xbow. Looks like Betfas was just waiting until he hit 9 elixir so he could go for a knight in front, and Tesla comes down, but archers are going to come down as well. I think this is actually going to be GG, if not a very nice small connection for Betfas. Yep, because Gary is not back to a knight, I believe, or just didn't want to play one, and Fireball comes in, but Betfas gets a connection. So very nice, keeping up the offense, and actually still keeping up the offense, because Gary just went for a Fireball. If it was me playing, I would just defensive Xbow, to be honest, but Betfas is fine with that. Wow, very creative Fireball by Betfas. Look at that, and that is going to get his Xbow on tower. That is amazing. So that is a play you can do with Fireball. Gary actually misses his Fireball on the Xbow as well, and that's something you'll see people do. You can use a Fireball or a log to knock troops out of Xbow's range, catch them off guard, and that single-handedly won Betfas the game. I mean, he was already winning before, but that was the final nail in the coffin, and that's going to put him at 8,016 trophies, top 20 in the world now. He is so high, literally top 20 with 3.0 Xbow Cycle. Very impressive. Let's see if he continues his streak. Alright, so Betfas, the absolute madman, is continuing to play, and we are into the 6th match against Amir. We do see a Mega Minion come down, so could this be some kind of beatdown deck? Because that's usually what you see Mega Minion in most. We do see just a center Tesla out of Betfas, and a knight comes out of Amir. Okay, so I actually think this is going to be Graveyard with arrows, and maybe even Bowler and archers. You see a Skarmy. Yeah, I think this is going to be a very niche kind of Graveyard freeze deck that not many people play, but I think Amir is one of them. He has a Bomber as well, so I guess he has Bomber instead of archers. Sometimes they have archers and Bowler in here, but looks like he has Mega Minion, Knight. Still not for sure, but there are the arrows. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to be Graveyard. So let's see how Betfas deals with this. Looks like he's already giving out some emotes, so maybe he's not a fan of Amir's deck, or just not a fan of Amir as a player. But just goes for a Knight against the Mega Minion, because of course doesn't want it to hit the tower. And so with this deck, I believe Amir also might have a building here. We do see a Knight at the bridge, and even a Graveyard pretty aggressively out of Amir, and archers come down for Betfas. So freeze comes in, and you guys should know by now, if you don't, the very standard play when they go for a freeze on your archers or arrows on your archers, you want to go for a log to clean up the clumped up skeletons and also keep the archers alive if it is a freeze. So Betfas did that. Also, he got a Knight hit in the top left on the tower. But yeah, definitely against any Graveyard freeze deck, or even arrows after they use something on your archers, you want to get a log in to clean up the Graveyard, especially if it's tank 4. by something else like a knight, or if it's just frozen so you have nothing on the graveyard, because you just can't afford to let that stack up. And he actually might be going, yeah, he goes for another graveyard. Wow, so aggressive out of Amir. But Betfas is going to, looking like, cycle back to a log, and maybe, okay, he goes for a knight instead. We do need to see something come down for this Mega Minion. We do see archers and skeletons, so very nice. But that is kind of throwing off Betfas' cycle here, because he needs to have archers for the next set of graveyard, or the next graveyard push. So we see a high Tesla out of Betfas here. Knight is actually going to not take out the bomber. We do see a fireball, and that is very nice. So now, notice Betfas is not even actually going for archers, just goes for knight, because he also has the Tesla helping out. And so he just decides to go without archers, not letting Amir get any arrows value. And now a defensive Xbow comes down. I kind of expected as much, because Amir has so many good defensive options against an Xbow without any support. He has the bomber, he has the knight to tank, he has, I believe, an Inferno tower in here. Or whatever his last card is might be good against Xbow. And now we see an offense out of Betfas. So same time Amir goes for a graveyard push, Betfas is going in, uses log on offense, not on the graveyard. And so archers are going to come in though, and Amir cannot afford 2 arrows on the archers because he needs to defend this Xbow. But the Xbow's going in, Betfas just going to go with something in front of this, I bet. Or not even actually, but that's just going to be enough. And Fireball does the trick, so very interesting there. Betfas was basically able to win with the defensive Xbow into offensive Xbow sequence, which is going to be a play that you see very often against these kind of graveyard freeze matchups. That's going to put him at 8,038 trophies and top 15 in the world, so I'm honestly astounded he's gone this high with 3.0 Xbow Cycle. Yeah, that's just very impressive, and did so against a very interesting matchup, Graveyard Freeze, but very nice game plan out of Betfas with the defensive Xbow, and again, just good control of the graveyard. The final Xbow push was at the same time as the graveyard. That is a common trend that you see in some graveyard matchups where you Xbow at the same time the graveyard, so they have to spread their elixir and can't fully support the graveyard with either a freeze, poison, or arrows. Alright, so Betfas is right into another match after that win against Amir, up against Teabag, and this should be actually a really hard match. So I believe if Betfas wins this though, he's playing all these in a row, he should actually be top 10 in the world, which would just be amazing, honestly. But it's going to be tricky because Teabag is one of the best Goblin Drill Wallbreaker players in the world. I believe that's what he's playing, and you'll notice that it's a very similar matchup to the game against Axel92, except the one difference is that Teabag does have guards instead of the Skarmy, and I believe that's actually going to be very much a change in Teabag's favor, because guards are just a lot better than Skarmy, I would say, overall, and also against Xbow because they stall out more and are a lot more threatening on offense. You can just log a Skarmy away, but you can't log guards. They have 2 stages, and we do see pretty aggressive push by Teabag because Betfas didn't have Tesla on cycle, but a very nice fireball to push the Valkyrie in and take out the Wallbreakers, and Teabag is going to have to respond to this knight as well, probably with a bomber or guards. We do see the guards come down, and Betfas is going to have to respond to these guards, but we could see him go in possibly if he gets a nice counter push or something. We actually see a drill from Teabag, so Betfas is going to go archers for the drill and then Ice Spirit for the guards, and he doesn't even log against this. He recognizes, and notice how he only takes 1 hit but save the log in the process. Recognize he doesn't need to overcommit on defense like that, can just save log for the Wallbreakers, and he just knows his interactions, so very well played by him. And Teabag, okay, goes for a Fire Spirit. Betfas goes for a pre-Tesla defensively, which is interesting, but now Teabag is going to rush opposite lane with the Valk at the bridge, probably going to see Wallbreakers followed very soon, and so Betfas goes log plus skeleton, so very nice by him, very fast reaction time. And against Wallbreakers, if you don't have Tesla, you have to go log. If they're tanked by something, you have to go log plus something else, so that something else can be skeletons, can be Ice Spirit, can be knight or archers, and we do see a knight coming in here. Notice how Betfas didn't go knight right on top of the drill next to the tower because he knew the bomber would splash. Very aggressive by Teabag opposite, but high Tesla will take out the Wallbreakers and get a shot in on the Inferno tower. Betfas just goes for archers in the same lane, actually baiting out a fireball possibly, but Teabag does not want to take it. And so I'm actually very interested to see how Betfas plays this out, because this is a matchup that I'm not very comfortable with, honestly, and I do want to see how Betfas is able to win. Notice how he hasn't really played any Xbows ever since that first time, just playing very defensively and passively over here, and archers up high to deal with everything. Now we see an Xbow, and notice this Xbow placement actually very interesting. You see a log as well to support the Xbow, and Skeletons plus Tesla will clear up most of the drill. So notice that Xbow placement. Notice how Teabag cannot fireball the tower plus the Xbow. And Teabag goes guards, which means he's very low on elixir, though. We'll Betfas pick up on that, and he does, going right away with an offensive Xbow. And we do see another log on offense. And Teabag's very low on elixir now, so I'm expecting Betfas to get some archers down, DPS down the Valk, and then probably even cycle back to another Xbow, especially after the fireball was used. Yeah, I definitely want to see an Xbow out of Betfas here, keeping up the pressure, because he's up elixir. Wow, Wallbreakers coming in to predict the Xbow by Teabag, actually pretty smart. But now Betfas is going to go for the Xbow and Tesla at the bridge, because Teabag doesn't even have a fireball and cycle right away, and Tesla will help against an Inferno tower. We see a very high Inferno, but the very high Inferno means it will be susceptible to any kind of archers or Tesla pressure by Betfas, and he does go archers there to snipe. Fireball comes in by Teabag to take out most of the Xbow while hitting the tower. The Betfas is back to another Xbow, and he is up with the Tesla. He has a knight in front, and Teabag does not have a fireball, so Teabag is in a bit of trouble here. Betfas is going to go for a very nice log. Archers as well, and notice how he's just very ready against the Wallbreakers, not letting Teabag get some nice Wallbreakers on his Xbow. And Betfas is probably going to go with yet another Xbow here. Yep, knight to prepare for it. And Xbow comes in. Very high Xbow. Again, this high placement is used to not let the fireball hit the tower along with the Xbow, so Teabag can't keep racking up damage. And also it's close to the Tesla, so that's why he played it a bit up high and close. But, well, Xbow's on tower, and second Xbow's in, but he doesn't even need this now. He can let this die, and just worry about defending, especially because he baited out the fireball now. He can definitely just let this go. Doesn't need to overcommit against the bomber, and just get a nice fireball at the very end, or even fireball now. And now he just has to defend this one final Goblin Drill Wallbreakers push. Skeletons pull out the Fire Spirit right away. We see a log coming in. I believe he's also back to another fireball. So even if Teabag gets a fireball of his own, Betfas is going to be in the lead. And absolutely wonderful win by Betfas. Just absolutely perfect gameplay, honestly. Picked all his spots, defended very well, and versatile against all the different drill pushes. And just very creative overall, and very impressive again. And I believe, as we can see here, yep, Betfas is at 8,062 trophies and top 10 in the entire world. That is just amazing, unbelievable, wonderful stuff by Betfas, and that is going to be an amazing video to share with you guys today. So, a lot of people have been expecting this. I did also tell you that I would be uploading Betfas content possibly, and yeah, he just played amazing today. He was able to push a top 10, which is incredible with 3.0 Xbow Cycle, because I feel like the meta isn't the best for it, because Earthquake was nerfed. That is definitely helpful, but Golden Knight is still everywhere, and that is definitely a big counter to Xbow. So that's the main thorn in Xbow's side right now, the Golden Knight being meta. But it is definitely still a better meta for 3.0 than the previous ones, because 3.0 was buffed, Ice Spirit was buffed, Archers were buffed, and also with the skills that people like Betfas, Aragon, Gems all have, it's definitely going to pay off here. So yeah, that's going to be the video, though, I guess, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Betfas just brings some absolutely unbelievable gameplay. I will probably try and upload my own ladder push very soon. Obviously, cannot compare to this gameplay, which is why I still like to do these special guest videos every now and then. Betfas just going top 10 is unbelievable. And yeah, make sure you support Betfas, guys. His Twitter will be linked in the description below if you're interested. Also, he does stream live on Twitch a lot, actually. He started streaming. I will link that in the description below as well if you're interested and need to follow his Twitch account. But yeah, just unbelievable games. Very glad Betfas let me kind of commentate over them and share them with you guys, because I know a lot of you guys don't have ways to watch people like Betfas, so hopefully what I try and do with my channel, if I'm not sharing my own gameplays, I share other top players' gameplay to kind of celebrate, or not even celebrate, well, it is celebrating wonderful Xbow gameplay, but also just sharing gameplay that you might not be able to access at other times, and also hopefully adding a bit of my own flair to it with my commentary as well. But yeah, that's going to be it, guys. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sure you did. If you're still watching as well, thank you very much. Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Congrats again to Betfas for top 10 with 3.0 XBOW Cycle. Just unbelievable gameplay.